Hello, my name is Andrew Rockwell, and this is my sprint review for the final sprint of my capstone project. So we'll start off right here. Here's the first build at the build location. Final build was submitted at 7:52 p.m. Submitted new final build again. I will now show in Explorer, which will bring me here. Open that up, grab these, export to this folder, and I will pause the recording until that is done. Alright, so now that that is done, I will continue on, open this, pause till it's open, and now that that is finished, I can this and show that my first task, make sure that that's okay. My first task is to create the main menu level. Main task, create a level to use as the background for the main menu screen. Subtask, the level will feature a longship crashed upon a rocky coastline with rain and water. It will utilize the following: longship, rocks, water, rain particle effects, wood debris, miscellaneous foliage. I thought it would take me 3 hours. Took me 3 hours, 32 minutes to complete. Here is the longship, trees, rocks, wood debris, I will briefly skip ahead to a different task to show the volume sliders, because I need to do that for the sake of my recording. Get the volume sliders working. Main tasks: ensure the music and sound volume sliders work and properly adjust the volume of the game. So upon opening this, hit options, change music volume down to here, sound volume. As you can see there, if I raise it, there is the change in volume for that. So moving back to the regular order of tasks, task number 2, change the mouse cursor. Main task, change the mouse cursor to something more aesthetically fitting for the game. As you can see here, this is indeed completed, as the mouse is changed. Next task, how many minutes am I at? 2 minutes, 32 seconds, okay. Make the main menu pause the game. Description: main task, make it so that when opening the main menu, the game pauses and remains paused until the main menu is closed. So, I will do this. Recall. Moving over here, as you can see, the man is animated and moving, and that is sparkling. When I hit the main menu, he's no longer moving. That is paused. I check options, credits, and just like that, the game is paused, and when I unpause, it continues. The next task is make the quit game go to main menu. Main task, make the quit game button take the player to the main menu. Add a warning that all progress will be lost before returning to the main menu. Part 2, move the quit game button to the main menu. So, as you can see, there is now no more quit button here, but when I hit quit, it will give me the warning: quitting now will lose all progress, quit anyways, quit game, and it takes me back to the main menu. Next task, add an extra check before leaving Rurikal. As a player, I want an additional warning before leaving Rurikal. Completion criteria: when the player goes to exit Rurikal, a confirmation box will appear on screen informing the player that they will not be able to go back or complete any remaining side quests after that point. I will pause the recording and pick it back up once I have returned. Here we are at the docks with Edmund. So I will now talk to Edmund. Yes, let us go. And here is our warning, telling the player to wrap up any loose ends before leaving Rurikal. And then once I hit I'm ready to leave, it will bring me over to here. Checking the next task. Draw more attention to the main quest. Main task, change the color of the main quest section text to help draw the player's eye better. By opening the quest log right here, the main quest is now a bright yellow to draw the player's attention. Looking at the next one, add sound effects to the quest tracker. Main task, add a clicking sound for when a quest is marked as tracked to let the player know it is now tracked. Open the main menu and the options and increase the sound volume just to make sure it is audible. And by clicking that, There's our tracker, and as mentioned, the sound effect now plays when the tracker is clicked. Next one, remind player that Q and E rotates camera. Included in the main task. Add reminders for the player that Q and E rotate the camera respectively. Subtasks include in the how to play section. 2. Include on the pause menu as a tip. So by looking at the main menu, right there on the pause menu, reminder Q and E rotate the camera. In the how to play section, Q and E rotate the camera respectively. Replace character names on the minimap with icons. Replace the character names on the minimap with fitting icons to represent who they are and make finding them on the minimap easier. So, looking at the minimap here in the bottom right corner, you can see as I move up, instead of the name, there's the icon for the blacksmith over there, the tanner over there, merchants over here now have symbols with the healing merchant over there, and that completes the completion criteria of replacing names with fitting icons to represent who they are and make finding them on the minimap easier. Correct level lighting for minimap. Adjust the level lighting to properly reflect the level without camera lighting tricks so the minimap is properly illuminated. So I will now show that here, as right here it is properly illuminated. I will pause the recording as I skip to the other levels. Here in the bottom right, the lighting matches the lighting in the rest of the level, rather than being too dark to see. And in the Amber Cove Ruins, once again, the lighting matches that of the main level, and is bright enough to actually see detail. The next task involves fixing dialogue inventory displays. Fix the item pickup notification to not display when a dialogue check is added to the inventory by adding a not boolean in a similar way to the inventory display check. So I will open it here. I will talk to the blacksmith, ask what happened to Vikings, and there's the notification that the quest is completed, but it does not pop up in the inventory in either display. The next task is to create an aerial map. Create a map that functions as an overview of the village for ease of reference. Number 2, place markers on the map to indicate where NPCs are located. Number 3, map opens when the map button is clicked. So, I will open the map with the button. That is completed. Here are the markers to show where the different NPCs are. That is completed. And I've created the map that shows the overview for ease of reference, showing that task is completed. The next task is to incentivize the player via inventory. Description, main task. Show inventory slots to display player collectible equipment to encourage player to explore and find that equipment. Number 2, adjust inventory widget to display sword and armor when equipped versus unequipped. And by clicking the inventory, you can see sword none, armor none. I will pause and pick it up once I have gotten the sword to show the change in display. Here I am, collecting the sword. And upon checking, it now displays that the sword is equipped, completing that task. To further elaborate, the show inventory slots was shown by having the names, as there was no slot system fully, so show inventory slots as in taking the space dedicated for the sword and armor. Next task, get the volume sliders working, was already covered. Show objective completion better. So, to show that off, I will pause and resume once a objective has been completed. As shown here, objective completion now shows a green tick in the box, which now actually shows the tick properly and is displayed there. That showing that task is now complete. I did also complete the side objective of actually getting the checkboxes to work, so that is now done. The final task is to fix the church. Main task, fix up the church and make it look more complete. Subtasks, hide the interior of the room Gunhild is in until the door is opened, add more lighting to the church. And then I was going to raise that, add lights, and cover that up. Inside the church, we can see that here, the room where Gunhild is in has been covered up. I have added more lighting than originally planned, as it became too dark to see, but the lighting in the room is now fixed with lights added where I said I would. The walls were also raised here to another tier higher up, so that way the lights are further dimmed. And that completes the final task I had for fixing the church. In the end, that brings it to a total of. Apologies for the jump cut, Professor. I paused and redid the math after some confusion, and turned out by going up to the task to fix the church, I have 16 tasks completed. I don't recall exactly which of these 16 tasks it was that I had done. That was not part of the original approval. I do apologize. Um, I will have to try and double check, but regardless, the original 15 that we had agreed upon are within this list of up to the fixing the church. Thank you very much, Professor, and have a good evening.
Hello, I'm Daniel Mullaney. Today I'll be going over my final taskings for the final sprint for Team Lobster. All right, first off, build is the most current. We posted last night at almost 8 o'clock. Um, let's, uh, this real quick. So for this test, I'm gonna keep adjusting the sound so that you could hear the differences that I've made, but I will go over the taskings here. Import animations movement. As a player, I want the NPC movement, default movement to look believable. Import all combat animations into UE5 and build the animation blueprint. Okay, so this is just strictly movement, and this was a pain in the butt, but I will show you. Got the movement for the character that was made by the art team. Have the crouch, the ability to transition from walk to run. Okay, next, replace NPCs with character models. As player, all NPCs look like actual Vikings. Completion criteria: import character models into UE5, overlay character animations onto skeletal mesh, create variants for 4 different NPCs. Okay, so this has been completed as well, and everything's been working really smooth with this. We go back in here and show you. I have all 4 Vikings in here. That's the first one. It's the second and third character skins, and I think that's the fourth run right there with the blue tattoos. So I could outrun them, group them all up. Yep, that's it. And then number 4 is over here somewhere. Uh, all right, so adjust enemy AI speed and detection radius. Okay, so for this, um, a long list of planning for execution because I had to do a bunch of trial. And then I got all my trial data from my users and decided that adjusting it, as you stated before in our lecture, that is a bad idea. And it is a bad idea because any more than this, and it's too easily detected where you don't even have a chance. As soon as you go next to the walls, they're able to see you, and it changed so dramatically that it was a horrible idea. So I did go through the testing process. It took roughly 3 hours, and I was able to get all of the conclusions. So I analyzed the data, determined the just range. So I had decided not to make any adjustments afterwards because all my playtesters actually enjoyed the current setting. And then after I changed it, it was too easily detected. Implement visual range AI blueprint, conduct final round of testing with the same sample size. So I did a sample size of 6 people, and I had the data on an Excel spreadsheet if you require that later. So rebuild sound effects for enemy NPCs. As a player, I want to hear my enemies, locate original sound files, edit and add more sound files, test and adjust accordingly. So there was a lot of adjustments with this. As you could see, or I'm not sure how the sound quality is going to turn up. Here, let me turn the volume up just a tad here and see. So you could hear there's 6 different variations. There's the crowd cheer one that's like, yeah, and then I'll drink from your blood, a grass walking and leaves crunching sound. So each NPC is making this sound individually on a rotating track. And it's a variable too, so it's not consistent. It changes the sound. If you go into a more dense area of NPCs, you can hear it better. And also adjusted that horn sound, so it doesn't just keep repeating over and over and over again. It was super annoying. Create the skin for the default player. So our art team guy Emilio created the skin. and we implemented it, and everything worked really well. It was very time consuming to get it um, the mesh with retargeted with the skeleton. As a player, I wanted to look like a Viking. Import all Viking skins into UE5 and build the player default skin and test. Okay, as you can see, I'm like a little our default character, just kind of like a peasant Viking without the armor. Import animations for combat. As a player, I want NPC attack movement to look believable. Import all combat animations into UE5, build animation blueprint. So this was done and then passed to Alex, who implemented the combat into the game. So like you do a special attack. Okay, so there's variants in the combat screen as I showed you, spinning attacks and regular attacks, and then the shield and the heal all work. Adding grass to Rurik Hall. As a player, I want the world to have more realism. Rurik Hall, pick the grass type for appropriate map, add or remove size of grass, paint onto appropriate map landscape. So this was very time consuming. I thought it was going to be a lot easier than um, what it ended up being here, but it all looks so great. So it used to move too, but to increase frame rate, I've removed the movement ability of the grass itself to kind of give it a lot more flow and speed. But as you can see here, like it's patchy in places where it should be patchy. And just added so much more realism to the map. We come over here, every square inch. Graveyard. Transition to the beach area. But yeah, just little things like this just added to the whole effect of like how the town looks and the path that you should go on. And then like thicker brush areas. Okay. Rebuild the bridge in Ambrica Ruins. As a player, I want the world to have more realism. Ambrica Ruins. Use original block message template, resize that detail of the bridge, test and adjust accordingly. Kind of went above and beyond on this one. Bridge is just right here in the beginning. The hard part is not get the NPCs to attack me while I demonstrate. But it's got all like the destroyed areas here, and you come up here, top. See, that's hard to view. But I closed off the gate itself because being a top-down game, unless you have the little transport pads like we have at the church, the being able to click on the actual screen, unless you just rotate, like, it's almost impossible to get the player to run through the gate. So I just removed the option of being able to go through the gate itself. And I have all this blocked off here too, so as a player, you can't just go off into the void. Go over here for a second. So variations of models for Ambrica Ruins. As a player, want NPCs look like actual Vikings in Ambrica Ruins. After importing animation AI skeletons, different variation NPCs, Ambrica Ruins map. So as you can see here, we have regular Horned Viking, the Chieftain Viking. The other ones are down here. The one with the shield on his back, and there's a curled horned helmet one right there. Okay. I don't think they could see me there. Adding grass, Ambrica Ruins. As a player, I want the world to have more realism. Ambrica Ruins, pick a grass, appropriate map, move, resize grass pan on its appropriate map landscape. Okay, so as you can see that there's grass throughout to add more realism. And I'll go in there real quick. Just throughout the ruins area here to give it more of an aesthetic to looking old and ruined. I love the grass texture too. It turned out so good. And it doesn't eat up a lot of bandwidth as long as it's not moving. Like the little path here, everything just came out so great. Oh crap. Look over here. All right, next task. Create a kill mechanic for final boss. As a player, I want to kill Ambrica Ruins after successfully completing the stealth map. A player reaches in Ambrica Ruins via stealth, option given to assassinate final boss. Players step behind Rolo once they do, the prompt will appear to engage the boss. Okay, so he's just up here, and since I made the game, I know how to get to him the fastest way possible. So there that goes. That. So then the end screen titles appear after to end the game because that's the final boss. As a player, I want the world to have more realism. Alien Isles, pick grass, appropriate map. Had root size of grass, paint to map landscape. So that was the first map that we were in. Let's go back, level select, Alien Isles. As you can see here, the grass, this area had the best effect with the grass because around where the trees are chopped, it made it look like it's been logged out. And then like the outskirts here, it gets like really thick. So it gives you a sense like you're in kind of like the forest. And the graveyards, and then you come up over here to the other end and it around the wall. Create variations of NPC models, Ill and Isles. As player, one NPC look like actual Vikings, Viking map, and import animation skeletons. Assign different NPCs to Ill and Isles. So I'm not sure if you can see here. Horned Viking with red beard. Viking with the blue tattoos. Curved helmet. And then the last one is the Fat Chieftain. Should be over here, right here. Going to hiding real quick. So as for tasks that didn't get completed because they were lower on the spectrum, and plus we also kind of ran out of time, rebuild sound effects for player character. As a player, I want to hear myself, locate original sound files, edit and add more sound files, test and adjust accordingly. So the player itself had a footstep sound, but we removed it. It was when we changed the animations, and we just didn't have the time to go back in and redo it. But I figured we could just probably do it at a later time. But it's very frustrating to set it up with the new Unity skin or new Unity skeletons. And I covered everything up to the incomplete tasks and working in the build. All right, thank you for your time.
All right, I am Alexander Heine, and I'm just going to jump right into it because I know I do not have that much time. So we'll open this up. So we'll go back up to the top here. So fixing lighting. So as a player, I want better lighting on the combat game mode so that I can see everything and create a good ambiance. Rebuild lighting within each combat level. Place additional lighting as needed to adjust for the change in lighting. So with that, we'll move back over here. We'll showcase some of those levels. So Rural Combat doesn't have any change in how the lighting moves. It is a little bit better ambiance with Inland Combat. Now we have a little bit of a better lighting scenario here where there's not that much change. So we'll go back to level select and we'll go to Ambrica just so I can showcase everything else that's going to be within the game. So now we'll move back over to adding the unit battle HUD. So as a player, I want to know the enemy stats so that I can know what health and shield amount they have. So creating a new widget, copying the layout of the unit battle HUD, utilize the enemy unit base instead of the party unit base, add to viewport in the top left or right corner. That ended up being amended and is now over here. One thing I do want to do is make sure that music is adjusted. And now what we can see is that we have all of these values which do update, and the names are also there. So now, replace character names for party units. As a player, I want to know the unit's name so that I can better relate to the character. Add names to each of the party units. As you can see, each of the names are now going to be related to each character, as we can see here. Next is going to be replace character names for enemy units, and that as a player I want to know the enemy unit's name so that I can remember which enemies are the same from combat to combat. Add names to all enemy units. As we can see, we have Rachwal here, Norse Housecarl, and then Rollo the Slaver. This is going to be the boss because he's going to have a specific name attached. Next, we'll go down to add the turn order widget. So as a player, I want to know whose turn it is and who's going to go next turn so that I can develop a strategy with my characters, create a new widget, add the turn order array to the viewport, only display the current player and the next player up, display the name on screen. So as we can see, this is the only thing that's different. So with the first one, it'll only show the first current. So we'll go ahead and attack over here. And we'll see ranged tiered pop up along with the next character, which is going to be Bjornwald stock. And then we go to the next Bjornwald. And then Vrogar over here is going to be after that. So now add animations for attacking. As a player, I want to see the units attacking so that we know they're dealing damage realistically. Add an animontage for all attacking with all weapons. Attach certain animations to specific weapon types and characters. So as we can see, we have a sword and or a axe here. So if we just do a regular attack on said range here, he will display a different attack montage than somebody who's going to have a specific thing right there. So if we go ahead and do an attack over on here, he's going to have a different attack animation compared to other people with different weapons. So now we have Rollo. And you can see he had a different attack animation. Same thing, that's now the special attack animation. Finally have the Norse, and that's going to be different. So next is going to be add animations for special attacks. So with that, we actually were able to see some of those. So as a player, I want to see when an attack is a special attack so that it can look grander and more damage inducing. Add a new anim montage for special attacks on each unit. Adjust each unit so that it plays relative to its weapon type. So as we can see now, we can go over to one of these targets. I'm going to say this one. And we see a new special attack play. So next is attach weapon to all party units. As a player, I want to know what weapons the party units have, so I can tell which units will be doing the most damage. Attach weapons to all unit sockets. You can see all the weapons are now attached and will play with the character. Attaching weapons to all enemy units. So from here, as a player, I want to know what weapons the enemies will have so that I know which enemies will be dealing more damage. Attach weapons to enemy units, enemy sockets. So as we can see, all of the enemies have weapons attached to them. Next, we're going to do the fix the camera switch for healing of enemies. So hopefully we can get an attack close enough so that we can see a heal. And as you can see, it was going to be that character that was healing, so we'll make sure that we can showcase that. As Vrogar is going to be next, we'll just go ahead and attack ranged tiered. So Rollo the Slaver is next, and it is switching over to the next character that is getting healed. Same thing with the here. Same thing here. So, and then we did show the animations for healing. As a player, I want to see when the enemy, when the unit is being healed so that I know that they have been healed. So they play a little flourish montage, add an anim montage to play when the target is being healed. So we did showcase that already. Now we're going to add animations for shielding. As a player, I want to see when a unit is shielded so that I know they're going to take less damage. Add an anim montage for shielding and incorporate the shield asset. So we'll go ahead and do that here. We have the animation play, and the shield is going to be located up. Once again, animation and shield is up. And that shield does go away after that. So now we'll move out, add victory music. So as a player, I want to hear a triumphant sound when I win the battle so that I can feel accomplished. Add an audio file when the player wins the battle. I will showcase this, add losing music for losing a battle. As a player, I want to hear a defeated sound when I lose so that I know that I've lost the game mode. Add an audio file for that. I will not be able to showcase that in the amount of time because it does take a little bit of luck and RNG for you to get into a situation where you are going to lose. It also just really depends on what strategy you go in. If you are just basically trying to kill each player all at the same time, you'll have instances like that happening where the characters will end up destroying your characters. Just as, we have now 18 left, we can go ahead and attack, bring another player off the field. It is beneficial to attack the boss first. The shield also will run with you as well, so that's another good piece of it, so you always know that they're still shielded. We'll make sure that we can try to get this in as fast as possible. And we can also see how many shields he has left, and she has 2 left. But we'll go ahead and just attack. This should be the final attack. There we are. And we have that music playing. So I won't show the losing because I want to make sure that time is a factor. So I'll make sure to go into the add new boss to enemy, add new boss. So as a player, I want a tough boss to battle at the end of the game so that I have a challenge to overcome throughout the game. Create new enemy unit base, attach or adjust stats to make the boss more difficult to kill, and have a good amount of damage. Add the new boss to Amberka combat. So with the balancing, when adding a new boss, it's always important to test whether or not the boss is viable within the confines of the game. We want to make sure that the new final boss will be creating a challenge and be interesting new feel to the ending of our game. So we're going to be testing via value experimentation. There will be 2 separate versions of the build that will showcase the old boss in one and the new boss in another that has changed values to the new boss's damage and or health values. We'll have 5 play testers play each version of the build with the new boss. Each play tester will run the combat scenario 5 times for both versions. So we'll measure the time it takes to complete, the damage calculation. So for the special attack, how many hits it will take to defeat the boss, and how many times did they win in the scenario out of 5. So what we want is we want them to win all 5 times because that's going to be a more fun and conducive environment for all players. So plan is to balance the new boss. If we were to add a new boss with greater damage, we will find that combat instance in the final scenario will be more challenging to the player. We'll test a couple different versions of the build with predetermined values that will differ from the main pre-existing build. Each will play them 5 times and get a test value out of 5. So we'll generate data through Excel and show graphs. Then we'll execute our conclusion by giving the new boss the most highly rated stats based on the play tests. So the version 1 is control, health value at 160 and damage cap at 110. Version 2 is 170, damage at 110. Version 3 is 160, damage at 115. Version 4 is 170 and 115 for damage and health, respectively. And then finally, version 5 is health is 165 and damage is 120. So if we increase the health and or damage of the boss just slightly, we can make a more balanced final battle with a new, more powerful boss that has the same number of hits it takes to kill the boss, but have a stronger base damage. So that ended up being exactly the case. We went with version number 3, which was health at 160, damage at 115, because we saw that it takes the least amount of time to win the battles on average with different strategies and such. So this is going to be average time versus the version on the bottom here. Now it's the number of hits versus the version, and we see that the version had 4 hits to kill the boss, which is what we were still looking for, so that we don't continue the amount of time that it takes. And then we have the number of wins versus the version, and we have high values in version 3 with 5 winning each, with each playtester normally on average winning 5 times. Then we have the number of hits versus average time. So the number of hits, and we see the average time is 104, and it takes around 4 hits to defeat the character. So that's what we were looking for. Finally, the number of wins versus average time. So we have a very, very small average time here for version number 3, and we are winning most of the time. So in conclusion, my hypothesis was right in the idea that there was another version of the final boss that could keep the game more balanced while still being able to complete the game in a timely manner with a stronger boss. I was able to find the best medium with keeping the boss health value at 160 to make sure that the number of hits does not change, but also have the damage increased to 150 so that the boss can hit players for more damage, and then other bosses, thus making it a good final boss because that character can one-hit at least 3/4 of the party units. So that ended up being a good happy medium, so that they can basically special attack 4 times in a row, and that will be version 3 showcased. Want to make sure that we still have a good amount of time. With that, I won't have time to showcase the exact number of hits, but it was on average 4. That's what was implemented, and actually, as you saw, it was around 4 hits that it took to actually defeat the boss. So with that, I thank you so much for listening, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their day.